You're up there. I don't see you up there. Ah, well, we'll fix it later. Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm going to get Ashley's camera up here real quick.
I'm fading to black. I don't even know
She's
where
not
I am
there.
anymore. Help!
She's not there.
I'm in the void.
You've disappeared to the ether.
Go figure. You guys, we are having the worst technical difficulties today. Like, not the worst. Just all of the gremlins are afoot.
Yeah, they all kind of converged at the same time today.
Yeah,
So.
Nothing is working. So it's partly why I find this so hilarious that I'm dark.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Crimes Against Folk. I'm Edward Williams.
I'm Ashley Norton.
And this is our, we do these recordings live. And we want to, we do these recordings live. And we want to make sure that, there she is.
Hooray!
Oh, Ash, start your recording in Audacity if you haven't already.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So
it's not up there anymore, by the way. It's gone.
Good.
Oh, wait, hang on.
We can start it.
All right. I'll get there. Yeah, we just had a request for okay, I think I'm recording. We just had a request to tell the story behind our title, Crimes Against Folk, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should do that real quick.
Especially because Virginia is watching live, and she was part of the story.
That's very true. We played this. What year was this? This was last year.
Yep.
That we played at the Tucson Folk Festival. It was super cool because we were on the big stage, on the main stage, and we were on the big stage, and it was such a cool show. Like the tent was full of people. There were people all over outside the tent watching who couldn't fit, and we were on the big stage. They did such a great job, like with setting us up and getting us ready to go. Everybody there was really cool, and so we played our show. Everybody loved it, and packed up our stuff. We were going to kind of just pack up and get ready to look around. And this guy comes up and says, as I'm putting my guitar away, this guy comes up and says, you're not supposed to play that here, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, the electric? I kind of figured he meant the electric guitar. And I was just kind of like, I kind of laughed it off. I thought he was joking with me, but he was very serious. He was very upset that we had played this show with an electric guitar, because apparently not too long ago, it was against the rules. So I said, well, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to be your guys' Bob Dylan, that's all. And then he's like, oh, so you did know. And then walked off in a huff. And I'm like, well, Jesus, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. and then not long after that, one of the other volunteers came up and was he was really nice and kind of apologetic, and said, oh, he's just, I don't know, he was, I think he just wanted to kind of smooth things over. But apparently it wasn't a thing to have electric guitars there for a while. So I don't know. I mean, it was a really weird situation, but I just remember where the name came from after after we left. I think either you or I coined the phrase "crimes against folk."
It was you.
Was it me? Okay.
Yeah, you said, well, first you said, I'm just I'm just committing crimes against folk. And then later, and you had the best attitude. I would have been so, I would have felt so bad. And I did feel, because of course then we were second guessing ourselves about all of it.
Yeah,
and
guys,
we
I think, were we not really sure if we were allowed to do it? I think on the way we were kind of like, I don't know.
Well, as folk musicians that have an electric guitar in our set, we do, and sometimes we play festivals and conferences where they request that we do not play electric guitar.
Yeah.
A lot of that is because of the venue setup of the folky environments. It's not necessarily because they're like anti-electric guitar. It's just because a lot of the folk festivals and conferences go unplugged. And when people bring their electric instruments, it takes more time to set up between shows. You have to have an amp, you have to be plugged in. There's like so much more that's involved with it. Mm-hmm. So we pretty much understand if it's specific to one of those situations. But if you're 100% capable of plugging in an electric guitar and you don't want us to do it just because you're trying to preserve the acoustic sound of folk music, like Bob Dylan got rid of that in 1968. So let's not go back there. We've moved on. We're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So this situation was one of those. And just to make mention also that we love the Tucson Folk Festival. This is specifically the one board member that is very grumpy.
Yeah, it was just that particular person who was not having it. So, but yeah, it was an interesting story. So that phrase kind of just sat in my head for a while. And
then I made the cartoon, which we have to find.
Oh, that little, that's right. That was right after that.
Yeah, because later my sister sent me a drawing of a puppy. And it was really cute. She's actually a really good artist, and it was like a watercolor, I think, of a puppy. And so I took her watercolor and I put "Crimes Against Folk" across the top, and I sent it to Ed, and we both just thought this was hilarious.
That's right. That was that day, or like the day after, right?
Yeah.
God, because I thought you sent that to me recently, and I thought that was just I thought that happened just like a couple days ago that you did that. I completely forgot that you had done that back then. No,
and we laughed about how one day that was going to be an album title or something, or a podcast or something. So I so when Ed, we were trying to come up with a name for our podcast, and a lot of you guys threw out some really great suggestions, but that came up in conversation, and I was like, oh yeah, that has to be the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
We can look no further. It is done.
Yeah.
But we did check, and by the way, we were allowed to play electric instruments.
They apparently got rid of that rule. I think it was 3 years before.
Yeah, it was 3 years. And as our friend Virginia was there, and all the headliners were playing electric guitars, so we were just getting picked on.
Electric guitars and electric basses and
yeah.
So that's where we got the name from. And also I wanted to write a song kind of about that. And we almost got it finished.
Yep.
But yeah, when I sent that song idea to Ash, she's like, "That's it.
That's our podcast name."
So that was pretty fun that all worked out.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why we call this podcast Crimes Against Folk.
It's not that it's a folk podcast.
Not really.
It's just we just think, you know why I think it's fitting is because this is a story podcast. We play music, we tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's a storyteller podcast, I should say. So the fact that we're calling it Crimes Against Folk and that title has a story behind it, I think is why it's so fitting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and I feel like sometimes when you have new bands and new music that kind of it's classified as folk and you kind of push that boundary, there's always going to be people who are pushing back. And so I feel like that's kind of what we are doing and what other people are doing. They're committing crimes against folk to kind of push the genre forward. So that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, I like that too.
So cool. Yeah, that's how we got our name.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad that came so easily.
I know. There is a folk band called Crimes Against Folk, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know how active they are though. I looked at the YouTube page. I think they're in a British group, and like the last video they had put up was like 9 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I think they do still play around. I don't know. I mean, maybe they've probably gotten hit by the coronavirus stuff like everybody else has. So
yeah,
that's very possible.
That'll happen.
So, all right. So, thank you all for hanging out with us today. I think we're gonna do. Let's do a song, eh?
Sure. I like music.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I forgot to pull up the lyrics for this one.
Yeah, I have my Witherward lyric book with me now.
Oh, show that off again.
Yeah. So when we did our crowdfunding campaign for our album, The Anchor, this was one of the gifts, and I know we keep mentioning that we're gonna reprint them and sell them because we are out. So we are going to do that eventually, one of these days. But Ed put this together, and it's really cool. Obviously, he did not sign this one. I need my copy signed, Ed.
Oh,
but
you should do something about that.
You should do something about that. I'm not going to forge your signature on my own book. I'll know.
That's true. I guess you would.
If I didn't know any better, that'd be one thing. But I'll forever look at it and be like, but I signed it.
Just like do it in your sleep one time, and then you'll wake up like, oh wow, he signed my book.
Or maybe Brad will do it. No, I don't want to do it. But
yeah,
anyway,
get Brad to do it.
It's cool because he put a picture next to each. He worked really hard on this book, and when he finished it, he said, I will literally never do that again. But we can reprint them. But it's great because when we try to pull out a lot of songs that we don't really play very often live anymore in our podcast. And so we're going to do a few of those today for you. And one of them being this song that I happen to really love that Ed and I wrote together right before we left Nashville. And the song is called Vulnerable.
Yeah.
So basically, I think I started this song out, but with
you did. I do remember that.
Yeah, and I sent some lyrics to Ed, and he really, really liked them. And then he put it to some music that he was working on, this beautiful guitar piece. And I believe the time signature is in 9.
5.
It's in 5. Okay, so I don't know how much you guys know about time signatures. They can get kind of crazy. I have a really difficult time playing in 9. I can sing in 5. I can sing in 5, but it's really hard to play in 5 for me. So I was really impressed that Ed was able to do that. But he and I kind of ended up finishing the song together, and I love it. It ended up becoming the title of our acoustic EP, which is also called Vulnerable, which you can find on Spotify and Bandcamp and everywhere.
Sorry, I got to pull up the lyrics in this one. I can't remember.
There's a lot of lyrics in this one. And like I said, we just don't do it very often anymore. But I think it actually has an extra meaning now, too, because of the very vulnerable times we are in right now.
Oh yeah, and people tend to be, you're more vulnerable, and you just feel funny because like you're cooped up in your house, but you feel you still feel more vulnerable because the pandemic it's so volatile and infectious, and there's all this stuff happening, and you're just like, well, geez, you're stuck in your house. You feel like you can't do anything,
Yeah. I actually, a lot of you know this, some of you may not. I didn't really make a big deal about it on social media. I just kind of decided to just coast right over it. But this weekend I was supposed to go to Arizona and play 2 shows for a couple of our favorite places, including Janie's and including Raven's View. And they were both outdoor gigs, so I felt okay about it. One of them was a With a Word show, and one of them was a solo show. And I was, I've been cooped up in my house here. I haven't really gone many places. I mean, Brad and I, we'll go to the store and we'll get takeout and things like that, but we just don't really go anywhere. And besides that, and I feel pretty safe. I feel like we're pretty, we're not living in fear. We're not like afraid to go out and do stuff, but we're also we're chilling out, and we're okay with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind going into Arizona to play a couple of outdoor shows, but just the shape that Arizona is in right now, speaking of vulnerable, is absolutely insane. And I literally was sitting here with my car was packed. I had my PA in it. Oh, my PA is still in my car. Mental note. Got to get that out of there. Yeah, my bags were packed. I was moments ready to leave, and I knew that the cases were really crazy in Arizona. And I was looking at the numbers, and I was like, well, I'm playing outdoor shows, and I'm staying at a place by myself. I think it'll be okay. And the musicians are excited. I don't want to put the venues out. I don't want to put the musicians out. And then a friend of mine actually texted me, and she's a nurse, and she works in one of the hospitals in Phoenix. And she said, first of all, every single unit here has turned into a COVID unit. Second of all, except one. She said, second of all, I think Ducey's going to shut the state down again, so you may not want to come. And so I'm literally about to leave, and I'm watching this press conference, and Ducey gets on the press conference, and I don't mean to make this political. I'm just trying to tell you the reasonings of why I didn't go in and why I felt vulnerable. He didn't do anything. He didn't shut down the state. Regardless of the decisions or whether you agree with that or not, I don't care. Everyone has their own opinions about it. That's fine. I decided I was no longer comfortable with going in when nothing was set into place. I mean, I guess they limited everything at 50% capacity, but it was kind of like that anyway. So I decided last minute, you know what? I feel bad putting the venues in a situation and canceling on the musicians, but this can wait. I don't need to go make myself extra vulnerable and drive into the state that has like one of the highest cases. So I talked to the venues and I talked to the band, and everyone was really cool about it. And I think ultimately what I got out of this situation was, you have to make your own decisions right now for what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And if somebody is going to be upset about that, that is their problem and not yours. Everybody should be forgiving of basically anything within reason right now. Times are so weird and so vulnerable and different. And every day is going to look different for you. So just do what's right for you. That's all I'm saying.
Well said.
Thank you. Now let's sing about it.
Can do. All right, I finally found the lyrics here.
Okay. I was really just stalling so I could find the lyrics.
No, that's good though. All right, so this is Vulnerable. I've spent thousands of seconds of minutes in the hands of Father Time. I've had my boundaries, but I've had no limits, 'cause I was never mine. And isn't it so wonderful? And I've been millions of inches of shadows, staining heels like wine. I've watched my pride lose its head in the gallows, but I've never lost my mind. And isn't it all wonderful? Hold it together by the strength of the strings on my soul. If I blink for a moment, I'm vulnerable. 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 Come in, my friend, the water's fine. So he says to me, have some crackers, a little rye. You'll figure it out eventually. And isn't it so comfortable? But just as the silence became so familiar, I am lost at sea, while the wind and the rain beat upon my face relentlessly. And isn't it so predictable? Hold it together by the strength of the strings on my soul. But after the storm, I'm vulnerable. Vulnerable. Vulnerable.
All that I fear is just one little tear, and I'll swim in an ocean of pain. When I wash blood like a drain, let it wash away. Don't let them see that it's me that has come to be vulnerable.
I've been the hero and I've been the villain, and I've been in between. And I can play the victim and also the keeper, but who will play me? And isn't it so vulnerable? Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Yay.
Thank you, guys. Oh, my new friend Allie's watching. Hi, Allie. I just, you guys heard me talk about Band Lab. Wait, did we talk about Band Lab last week?
Yeah. Or, no, the first time, show 0.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to talk about it again sometime then. But yeah, I just released a new song this morning on Band Lab with this, with 2 collaborators, Rob Chadwell, who I did my song Becoming with, and then this new collaborator named Allie, and who's in Austin.
Nice.
I made a beautiful track that I sang over. So I'll have to share it to our socials and stuff here soon. Pretty excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. BandLab's awesome.
Yeah, it totally is. I'm continually impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I made a song with Allie there in Austin, and then or Ollie. I'm not sure how to pronounce that actually, Allie or Ollie, but it's ALI. And then Rob Chadwell's in Florida, so it's cool. I mean, that's probably the closest collaborations I've done. I've made music with people in India, in Italy, South Africa, Canada, and England.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. Just at nothing. And nobody knows where each other's from until you ask. You know?
Yeah, you have to ask them. Like, oh, wow, you're there? That's really
awesome.
cool. All right. So let's do our show and tell.
Show and tell time.
I think I've got these loaded okay. So I think Ash, I'll have you go first this time. So I'll throw up your photo here.
Is it sad that I can't remember what photo it is? Oh, I know. I remembered because we have a whole thing coming later in the show.
Yeah.
Because of this photo. So basically what I really wanted to do today, and if you're a fan of Witherword and you've seen us before, you probably already know the story, but the story goes like this. It's the Subaru story. So probably the biggest thing that's happened to us in our career is Ed and I got endorsed in 2018, was it?
Yep.
By Subaru Europe. And we did it because we got there because it took a long time and a lot of work. First of all, we had started a series called Songs from a Subaru. And we were just filming our adventures when we were touring around the country, and I released these little videos of us state by state and kind of a little bit from our shows, a little bit from what we would see and do, and then we would sing a song in our Subaru and we just kind of throw it out there. And everyone kept being like, "You got to get endorsed by a Subaru." I'm like, "I know, I'm working on it." So I would keep sending these videos off to Subaru every time we would do one, and I mean, we did a lot. I think we did about 20 to 22 before they finally responded. I kept sending them to him, and I kept getting responses back like, "Oh, well, you guys keep up the good work." And then we'd get stuff in the mail sometimes, like we would get like a hat.
Yeah.
or a mug, I think.
Water bottle or something.
Yeah, like they would just send us stuff. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, but that's not exactly what I had in mind. And then we went, so we would just keep doing this. And then I finally got like the ultimate rejection letter from Subaru America. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm still going to do this series though. Then we started planning our Europe tour, our 2018 Europe tour. We were planning on going for just over 2 months. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, well, I wonder if Subaru Europe is a separate entity than Subaru America. So I did a little research, and turns out I was right. So I took the exact same proposal that I had been sending off to Subaru America, and I sent it to Subaru Europe, and they said, yes, we'd love to sponsor you guys. So that was a really, really exciting time for us, and that we were able to land this like big time sponsorship. And we felt so cool, as you can see by this stupid expressions on our faces in this photo. We showed up to Subaru. I wore my blue dress because I was like, Subaru.
I wore my pig pen shirt because I'm awesome.
Yep. Yes, you are. Well, and I think Ed told a little bit of the story last time, and I wanted to kind of complete it this time because in the last episode rather. So we flew to London. Ed and Stephanie, our violinist, and our band mom Lise, the four of us flew into London, and we dropped the girls off at our Airbnb. Ed and I got like 3 hours of sleep, hopped in a Uber to the train station, took a train to the Subaru headquarters is in Brussels. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Like Saventem, so it's kind of nearby. Yeah.
Okay. So we took the channel to Brussels, which luckily there's pretty much a direct train right from London to Brussels. So it was actually fairly easy, minus not getting any sleep and just having come in from America. So we get there, and then we had to take another train, and then finally one of the guys from Subaru came and picked us up. And we were absolutely jazzed because, I mean, we were on no sleep, but we were just so excited to be there and sign paperwork with Subaru in their headquarters. And they gave us these little like toy cars, and they gave us, I mean, it just felt like a really big deal, and it was, but it also felt like it. So being there was just absolutely magical. And then the head of the marketing guy was there, and he was just taking pictures. So what was his name, Ed? Do you remember?
Martin?
Yeah, Martin. Yeah. So he took us around to the front, and he took this picture of Ed and I in front of the Subaru sign on no sleep and absolutely wired because of how excited we were. And we got in our brand new Subaru and we drove away, and that's how the tour started.
Yeah, it was a 2017 Subaru Outback that they had let us borrow.
Yep, for a month and a half.
Month and a half, yeah.
And we took it, and then the journey back. So last week, Ed's Show and Tell, he shared a picture of us in Bruges, which we had looked up and found that it was on our way back to London. And that's why I wanted to continue the story, because we drove that Subaru, stopped at lunch for Bruges, for lunch in Bruges, and then we took the Subaru on a ferry, which was a whole nother thing, because we had to explain to the customs why we had entered the country twice in one day. So for a minute, she thought we were smuggling drugs, which, like, reasonable. So she had us like go back, and we missed the first ferry because we had to go talk to them and explain to them exactly why this was happening. And luckily we had our sponsorship paper, so it was cleared up pretty fast. But she was like, "Wait, you're doing what?" And we're like, "Well, we had to go pick up the." You flew into London to pick up a car in Brussels? Just drive around here. Come in. I need to talk to you guys.
Yeah, she was like, "You hired a car from Brussels?" And we're like, well no, yeah. But kind of.
Yes?
Well,
no.
Yeah.
But yes.
So we had to, yeah, that was a weird explanation.
Let me explain this to you. This sort of thing happens all the time, I promise. Mm-hmm. It does not. We're aware. So finally we made it to the ferry, and then we drove the car another hour and a half to London. And then the next day we drove to Wales, and that's when the tour began. This all happened within 48 hours.
Yep. So that was a crazy journey on how we got that Subaru to start the tour and everything. So
and then Ed fell asleep forever.
Oh man, yeah, that was a crazy journey, because like I said before, we had we kind of planned the tour already, but we didn't hear from Subaru that we were all set to go until about a month before. So we had to kind of I think we left a day in just in case they said yes, but everything else was kind of already planned. So we had to, like, once we got the go-ahead, we had to plan this, like, extra day of crazy travel just to make this all work. So we kind of knew, we kind of had planned for it, but we were going on the assumption, obviously, that they were probably not going to do it.
Because that's
we
just
had
how
a just
it goes.
in case. Yeah, it's just how it goes. We had a just-in-case day.
Yeah. Luckily, because it all worked out. And also driving through Wales on those teeny tiny streets on no sleep is very harrowing.
With a gigantic car.
Yeah. Subarus are not built for Europe. Let me tell you.
They're not built for the UK. That's for damn sure.
Right. Autobahn, fantastic journey. Yeah. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, like Germany, France, Netherlands, no problem. Those are, but UK roads, except for the motorways, hoo boy, very harrowing to drive.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that was fun. That was still a fun trip.
It was a fun trip. It was a crazy journey. What's cool is we'll have that we'll have that forever. And we have so many stories from our 3 different Europe tours to share with you guys that will be kind of unleashing as this podcast continues. So
yeah, as we keep doing the kind of the show and tells and everything. So
yep. That's my show and tell.
Yay. All right, here's
your
mine.
turn.
So there's my photo.
Which I also forget. Oh, right.
It is Ashley looking really cool with a really cool owl. I guess, I forget, was it on your arm? Or was it on the guy's arm?
I can't remember if I actually got to like hold the owl or not.
I was trying to, I couldn't remember either, but
that was a great day.
Yeah, that was. I kind of blank a little bit on this. But when was this? What city was this? Do you recall?
Yeah, it was Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, right? This was the day that we kind of had off in Edinburgh.
Yeah, and we split off. So you and I spent the day together doing the things we wanted to do, and Steph and Lise had a different agenda, so they went and did their stuff.
That's right. So they had done. We went to a bunch of different places. I think we went to.
So cool. That was a recommendation from my.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, because we pulled into Edinburgh and yeah, we just went in. I think was it on our way, or I think we just had the day off and we just decided to go check out Edinburgh for the day.
Yeah, because I think we were in Perth for the show in Perth.
Yeah.
And so I think.
Yeah, we got the Airbnb.
We had some time off. We had got the Airbnb, and so we had a little bit of time off, and we're like, well, let's go to Edinburgh. So.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to go, so we all jumped in the car and we parked the car for the day, and we stopped in. We had lunch together at a pub, and we did a little bit of whiskey tasting.
Yeah,
and then the girls wanted to go to the castle, and I had already been. And you wanted, and we kind of went through. We're like, well, let's do, because when Ed and I are touring, we like to pick like one touristy thing to do, because they can be really cool. I mean, we get so many offbeat, non-touristy experiences that we actually have to seek the touristy ones, because when we go in to play a show, opportunity, we went through, we're like, okay, we could do the castle, we could do this. And then I was like, well, my mom said that the Queen Mary's Close tour was really awesome. So we picked that, and the girls went to the castle, and we went to do that. And that's where we saw the owls. We were walking down the streets of Edinburgh, and there was this guy with this gigantic owl. And we went up and just played with the owl because it was so cool.
Wow. Yeah, it was just a dude on the side of the road. Who's just, because we told him about the show and he didn't show up, but he was just hanging out with his owl, and it was just like, whoops, that's not the right one. It was just so cool that this owl was so chill, and I don't know, it was really neat. That whole day was actually really fun because I'd never seen Edinburgh before, and
magnificent city.
It was really cool city. Like, I really enjoyed kind of walking around there. We walked a decent way around there. I think you guys went to a cemetery.
Yep. We went to the cemetery, and then I'm trying to remember the name of the street. Stephanie got wind of like a really beautiful street, and so we walked there.
Yeah.
And we had to, and Stephanie and I went for an extra long walk because I had to pee so bad. And we walked down by the river, which was really crowded, and we found like one pillar where I could kind of like, I mean, it's Edinburgh. It's not like there's like public restrooms anywhere.
Yeah.
So I found like, I'm like, I think I can like squat here really fast. And Stephanie, you keep a lookout. And so we made that happen. And then in like the nick of time. And then we walked around that just absolutely beautiful street. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And which is cool because typically, Ed, you and I aren't big city people. Like, we prefer small towns and country life. So it's pretty amazing that we're talking so highly on Edinburgh right now.
Yeah. Edinburgh was awesome.
But the Queensmary close was so cool. It was basically, you're going to probably explain this way better than I am.
Well, the closes in a lot of British and very possibly European cities back at the time. There were just small areas of the city where you could walk down, and they were inhabited. And this particular one at the time, right now, I think was under like the Civic Building or something. That because this close was active during the Dark Ages. And so we went through this tour, and you go through like these old houses that people used to live in. And I mean, house, it's like a studio apartment from hell, basically. Like basically what they lived in. So you imagine at the time it was just full of squalor, and that's where lower classes lived. And you had some places that were a little more high class. So they were kind of like these little miniature underground cities, or built back cities. And it was really interesting to see, just like it was kind of a slice of what life was like for regular people during the Middle Ages and stuff like that. So it was a really that was a good recommendation, because it was a really cool experience. So
yeah, it really was. It was a great day. I'll never forget it. And again, that's part of the reasons we love touring so much, is just is the incredible experiences and the stories that we get out of it, beyond so much probably equal to the great shows that we play when we're there.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
for sure. Hey, let's resync real quick.
Yeah, I just heard that I'm not synced up anymore. And can you also show the owl photo again, Ed, when you get a moment?
I'll do it real quick here. Owl.
This is a hoot.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
You are not sorry.
Nope. In fact, I'm very pleased with myself.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Let me pull this up. All right, go ahead and clap, please. So you get a peek behind the curtain.
So what's cool is we shows live, and then we post them to podcast platforms moments when you watch live. Isn't it fun?
Go ahead and clap again. And again. Yeah, that was kind of a dad joke.
Well, hanging around Brad a lot these days, so.
Oh man, that's funny.
I'm also going to put all of the show and tell photos. I'm going to put it on our Instagram and Facebook page after each show. Just
good call.
So
they'll also be in the show notes or in the podcast post on the website. So if you go to the website, you can see what they look like if you've forgotten or anything like that.
Which is crimesagainstfolk.com.
Yep. I think we should. I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, just let us know if anything goes out of whack again. Lots of gremlins today, like we said.
Lots of gremlins.
All right. Well, should we do another song, Ed?
Yeah, let's do that.
And then we're going to we're gonna get a story out of Aubryn. She's our guest today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very busy day for Aubryn, so she runs these. Hopefully she'll talk about it a little bit. We'll see, but she, if not, I'll tell you now. She runs a online music festivals. So about every other weekend, she hosts a bunch of musicians all day long on this group or a page that she started. And so everyone has the 30-minute slot, and Witherword has not done this yet, but we probably should and will. Mm-hmm. I've done it myself. And you just go on your 30-minute slot, and she shares it to the thing. So any fan that wants to check out some new music can pop into her online music festival at any point in time during a weekend period and hear some really great new music. So she is doing that today, the same day that we asked her to be on our podcast. So poor timing on our part. Poor Aubryn.
Right.
So we're gonna do this Simon and Garfunkel song for you guys. One of our favorites.
Old friends, old friends, sat on their park bench like bookends, the newspaper blown through the grass falls on the round toes of the high shoes of the old friends. Old friends, winter companions, the old men, lost in their overcoats, waiting for the sunset. The sound of the city sifting through trees settle like dust on the shoulders of the old friends.
Can you imagine us years from today, sharing a park bench quietly? How terribly strange to be 70.
Old friends, memory brushes the same years, silently sharing the same fears. Time it was, and what a time it was, it was a time of innocence, a time of confidences. Long ago it must be, I have a photograph, preserve your memories, they're all that's left you. There you go. And that is Old Friends. Oops.
Shall we hear Aubryn's story?
Yeah, so we're gonna let me put this down here real quick. Cables. So Aubryn was kind enough to send us a story. However, when I listened to it, I kind of got anxiety. Listen to it beforehand. I kind of got anxiety because it's kind of. I would like to title it "A Musician's Worst Nightmare," and that's what I'll say about that. So here is Aubryn sharing a story from the road.
Okay. My name's Aubryn, and I think it was last summer. My
Sorry about that. Let me do that again.
Okay. My name's Aubryn, and I think it was last summer. My car and my boyfriend's car had both broken down, and I had a gig out of town. So we ended up taking my percussionist's car. There were 3 of us going to Knoxville, Tennessee, to play a gig at a place I'd played a few times. It was a Poor Tap Room in Knoxville. And so we were taking my drummer's car. I was driving because he was not comfortable driving when it got dark out and all of that. But anyways, so we were loading stuff out to get put in his car, and I had put my guitar like outside the door, handed it to one of them, and they had set it in between my car and my boyfriend's truck and just leaned it against my car. And we were about halfway there, at least 45 minutes at least on the way to Knoxville, when the guitarist was like, Aubryn, where's your guitar? So I was like, we didn't load it. It's not here. What's going on? So I'm at this point frantic because also my iPad was in the front pocket of my guitar case, and I'm like, oh crap, like everything is in there, everything, my whole life right there, like everything I need. Yeah, thankfully I know a lot of songs, but that also doesn't solve the problem that everything was there. So I had my iPhone. I was able to pull over and track my iPad and see where it was. If it was still, it was still hooked up to the Wi-Fi. It was still there. Thankfully, my boyfriend, when he got home, he brought it inside and it was fine, because it was out there though for at least an hour before he even got home. Thankfully, both of our cars were broken down at that point because they were both there, and it was kind of hiding it from everybody else. Nobody, walked past or something, I guess. So then I have the problem of trying to figure out, what guitar am I going to use? How am I going to do this? So, I had a friend in Knoxville who is an awesome singer-songwriter. And then I called her, and turns out she already had a gig. And so there's no way that I could borrow. So I was like racking my brain. I'm like, wait a minute. There's this guy who I've never met in person, but he's, a fan on Periscope. He watches sometimes on Periscope, and I know there've been other people who have met him in person, so I know he's probably okay. And I know he has a guitar. I don't know if he has one that actually plugs in, but I think he does. And so I ended up finding a way to contact him on Twitter, and I think I might have gotten his information from somebody. I don't know. I might have just messaged him, and he actually responded. He happened to be like 30 minutes away from the venue, the opposite direction from where we were coming. So we couldn't go there on the way. I like literally had to drop off my percussionist and guitarist, who thankfully is also an awesome singer and songwriter and can, you know, do all kinds of stuff by himself, and the PA system. So they had to set up by themselves, and I had to like rush over, and because the guy that I was borrowing the guitar from, he didn't have a vehicle, so I had to go get him. I'm like, okay, can I borrow your guitar? If you want to come to the show, you don't have to stay the whole time. I'll get you a lift home or something. He's like, no, I absolutely want to come. So I went and picked him and the guitar up, and I'm like, man, you are an absolute life saver. His name is Kerry Vernon, and to this day, thank you so much, Kerry. He ended up having me sign his guitar. He's had a couple of other Periscope musicians, live streamers that he's met up with that he has their CDs on his wall. He's got one of mine now too, and he has their signatures on his guitar. And he was just tickled to death that I was going to be playing his guitar. And so he came out and he stayed the whole time and was just, you know, having fun and you know, tuned into the live stream. But on the way to the gig from his place, just to icing on the cake, top it off, I got a bloody nose while driving my drummer's car with a stranger that I'd never met who was lending me his guitar. Long story short, it turned out fine. I knew enough songs, and, you know, between me and the guitarist, we knew enough songs, and the drummer was good enough to just follow both of us, and we, you know, practiced enough together to be fine. And it was like a 3-hour gig, and it was fine, but it was just this whole fiasco of just thing after thing after thing. So that's my most stressful and interesting story of touring. Yeah, there you go.
All right, we are back. Guest cam on. Hey, there she is.
Hi.
It all worked.
Well done, Ed. Round of applause. Edward Williams, everybody. Making it work. Hi, Aubryn.
Hi.
So if you guys don't know this already, Aubryn and Ed and I are friends from back when we lived in Nashville. Back when Ed and I lived in Nashville, which we don't live there anymore. Aubryn has always been one of our favorite singer-songwriters in Nashville and still is. And we used to do some shows together and hang out together in songwriter circles and things like that. And now my boyfriend is her father. So
Yeah.
that's a thing that happened since we moved away from Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, totally unplanned too. That the short story on that was basically Ed and Ash were in Oregon and needed a place to stay, and I'm like, that's right near where my grandparents live. So I contacted them. I'm like, maybe they'll let you stay there, and of course they did. They're like, yeah, absolutely, we'd love to have your friends. And then it happened to be Father's Day, and my dad surprised my grandfather for Father's Day by driving up there, and they met and sparks flew, and that he started following them around the country, or actually around the world, honestly.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
He's the best kind of stalker, if you ask me.
The one that you actually want? Yeah.
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 The good kind. There's such a thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to say that Aubryn unknowingly set us up.
I mean, yeah.
So one of the first things I wanted to ask, because obviously all of us have been affected by this, by the pandemic and quarantines and shutdown. How has it affected you, and what have you done to work around it so far?
Well, for a couple of weeks, maybe like a month or so, few months. I don't know. I don't even know what day is it. But yeah, I had basically one regular gig that I was doing every week, and the rest of my gigs were live streaming, which I've been doing for, let's see, my weekly show that I've been doing on Wednesdays. It's switched around, but Wednesdays is what it is right now. I've been doing that since November of 2012, and so almost 8 years. But then I about maybe 2 years ago, I started more seriously starting to live stream. And so I've kind of built up an audience for that. So my life didn't really feel like it changed that much, but I saw how a lot of other people's lives were changing, especially like musicians losing gigs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, I want to do something. And this is like kind of my strong suit because I know, how to live stream and how to set up stuff because I've run open mics and writers' nights and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, how can I help? And so I started actually, doing it. It started out as a bi-weekly, like every other weekend online music fest, and now it's monthly. As a few places started opening back up, and I got a little bit overwhelmed trying to do it every other weekend. But I do have a few helpers, which I'm so grateful for.
That's fantastic.
It's actually going on right now, as you guys mentioned earlier. So. Yeah.
Please do check this out. It's I remember when we when all of this just hit and it hit everybody like a ton of bricks. And one of the first things that happened was Aubryn started organizing these concerts. That was one of the very first things. Mm-hmm. And so I was really
that weekend, I think that everything I saw the news that everything shut down. I'm like, all right, well, this weekend we're going to start this on.
Yeah.
I think I did the first festival. In fact, I think I was on the first one.
Yeah, I think so. And so
we're on number 7 right now.
Wow. That's
awesome.
Fantastic. I was really happy to see that. So, excellent stuff. All right. What was the next question I had? I have to pull up my finger here.
I suppose I should tell you guys all where it is. Facebook.com/online music fest.
Online Music Fest.
I'll put it in the chat.
It's Auburn's Online Music Fest is the title of the page, but it's Facebook.com/online music fest. And the PayPal is the same, paypal.me/online music fest. There's a group too, facebook.groups/online music fest. So I tried to make it all the same so that it was easy to find.
That's fantastic. Hey.
And there it is in the chat.
Awesome.
Did I get it right? Is the link right?
Yep.
Cool.
That is correct.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And also I want to mention really quick that the festival tip jar, the PayPal for the festival, that gets split up between all the musicians. Some they have the option to opt out, and if they don't need it, or if they want their portion to go towards like future festival promotion and stuff like that. So I use it basically for Facebook ads for people to find the festival and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great, and that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
That's
good
amazing.
to hear because that's really important right now since so many musicians are really struggling to figure out what to do. And during this whole thing, from your perspective, what do you think has been kind of a negative impact on the industry, and what's been a positive impact on the industry, if there is one or the other that you've noticed?
I mean, negative would obviously be, people not being able to, make ends meet. But I think positive, people are starting to have to get a little creative. And it's also, I feel like it's really boosted live streaming. And a lot of people who never tried it before are being introduced to it and seeing how awesome it can be because you get this personal connection with people. And for me, a lot of the time, live streaming is almost more personal for me than playing in front of people because you get to hear and see, or you get to see what everybody's saying and have conversations with them mid-song, or in between songs when, if you're on stage, people are having their own conversations that you don't get to be a part of.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
it does. It feels more intimate in a weird way. Even though there's more of a disconnect between you physically, it's like mentally there's a deeper connection.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. That's been my experience anyways. That's why I fell in love with live streaming in the first place.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I noticed that too. Like there was a point during our live streams when we would, when we live streamed our live performances, there was a point where we tried to set up something like when we were at a place where, maybe the audience wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, I would set up an extra mic for Ashley so she could talk directly to the live stream audience, because they were pretty much the only ones that were paying attention at the time. And so we kind of did that. And that is kind of what I like about doing our other live streams on here, is that we get to be interactive with the audience, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Well, even my live gigs, I have my live gig back now in Nashville every Saturday. So even those, I've live streamed those for a while now too, and I always have my phone or whatever fairly close. I try to make sure that it's not really in anybody's way, so the audience can still see me, but they're like right here, and I can still read comments and stuff. I usually have my comments set up on my iPad, and along with next to my charts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can see and respond in real time to what people are saying and take requests and. I let them know, I'm like, I am playing a live gig, so, their requests take precedent, but you can still request and I will still get to your song. It just might take a little longer.
I've noticed that when I've tuned into your streams.
I've tuned in a couple times too, and I've always been really impressed with that, because I feel like that's something that I struggle with. I think Ed struggles with it as well, because back when we were playing live shows, which seems like a lifetime ago, we would stream a lot of our shows, but we would just kind of put it off in the distance and forget about it and play our show. So anyone who wanted to watch could tune in, but we wouldn't interact with anybody because we would be. I had a really hard time doing.
You get distracted.
Yeah, who am I playing for? The online folks or the everyone who's actually watching me, because it is different. It's a different kind of audience, and as you play to your audience. So point being, I've always been really impressed about how you've been able to manage both at the same time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it really
it does.
Impressive.
It takes practice, and obviously if people in the audience are responding and everything, you focus on them, but I tend to just look over and just make sure and then just keep going, and it's usually in the middle of a song where I'll respond to something in between lyrics or whatever, and I'll just be and I'll just off to the side, I'll talk to the phone or whatever, and I'll also mention it during my performances to the people in the audience. I'm like, by the way, I'm also live streaming, and sometimes they'll even pop in on my live stream if it's on Facebook or something, and they can I'm like, you can even make secret requests if you want to make request a silly song or a dedication or something, you don't want somebody to know about it.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
That is cool.
Yeah, so then it gets them kind of in on it, and I don't know. I feel like it makes itself work.
No, that's great. That's such a great idea. I didn't even think about that.
Well, you're always one step ahead of the curve here as far as live streaming goes, Aubryn. And if any musicians are watching right now, she is definitely somebody to follow and definitely somebody to watch. And you should apply to be on her online music festival, because I think there's online submission forms you can fill out, Aubryn.
Yeah, tomorrow I will be putting up the next one. But you can also join the mailing list to get an email when sign-up sheets are up. So you can do that on my website, auburnmusic.com/onlinemusicfest.
Cool.
Go figure.
I think Trevor just said Shatner, by the way.
Yes, Trevor just yelled Shatner. And what happens when he does that, or when anybody does that, is I start overacting whatever I'm doing.
Awesome.
I love this part of your show so much.
Man, that's a good Shatner.
It is really good.
I've had a little bit of practice.
Oh, man. That's so awesome. One last question I had for you. What is the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you for your career or for life?
Consistency is key. Consistency. And that's especially true for live streaming. Like, you know, having my show and being consistent about it has really, I feel like it's really grown. And like, you know, continuing to doing live streaming, because if you do it a couple times, people will tune in and be like, cool. But if you don't do it for a while and then you come back, you know, it's like really, but if you consistently do it with a lot, as you know, as well as a lot of different things, then, you know, people get used to you being able, you know, doing that consistently, and they start being like, oh, she's really consistent with this, you know, I can count on her to do this, you know. So
who said that to you?
I've heard it a bunch of different places. I honestly don't remember who was the first person to say that to me, but that's just one that has stuck in my mind, and it just keeps, you know, playing through my brain.
It's a fantastic piece of advice, and it's something like when you say it, it's like, oh yeah. I mean, we know that, but it's just you need that reminder because it's so true. And sometimes it's easy to just kind of let something go after you've done it a few times and it's not really working out in your favor. But if you just stay consistent about it, it's going to.
Oh, absolutely. Build it and they will come.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, my online show, my Wednesday show that's been going for almost 8 years now, like it started off with like nobody watching really. They had a couple people maybe watching. And then, but as I kept doing it and started being more consistent with it, it you know, people started coming and staying. And like Ed's mom, Alice, has been watching almost the whole time I've been doing the show.
Oh, yeah.
Like since the first time Ed was on the show.
Yeah.
With
wow,
Elvie.
That was a while ago. With Elvie, yeah, with Lauren and Vince.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. And that means that's the thing. Yeah, she's a big fan. And I think you're right. That is the key, because when I see, you know, there's so many people on Twitch who are just like streaming to nobody, but they really still enjoy it. And you never know, like, I think they'll keep doing it and eventually they'll get those 10 or 20 dedicated people, and that may bloom into 50 or whatever. And it's just, as long as you're enjoying it, I agree. Consistency is the key thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, enjoyment is key. That's something Ed and I have always said too. You know, as long as it's fun, we will still do it. Because when it's not fun anymore, no matter who's watching you, if you're having fun, then you should just keep doing it. And I think as long as you keep doing it, it will build. So
yeah,
I've seen it happen time and time again with your music, Aubryn, with ours and some of the platforms we've done. And sometimes we've given up on stuff because it's not fun anymore, not because of our audience.
Usually if something becomes not fun for me and I still kind of want to continue to do it, I find some way to make it fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like now, like on Twitch now, Thursdays and Friday afternoons, I've been doing broadcasts every Thursday and Friday on Twitch that I just started. Thursdays are theme Thursdays, and so we come up with a theme, you know, for that week, and we try to do as many songs in that theme as possible. And then Fridays we do Fun Friday, where we like play a game or something. Like we played Werewolf. Yeah, Friday, this past Friday.
Werewolf.
Have you ever played that? Yeah, another name for it is Mafia. But, yeah, so one person is basically the werewolf or the killer or whatever, and you have to figure out who it is. By, you know, you guys vote or whatever on who you think it is,
it's
and
like
that
Secret
person
Hitler?
Gets lynched. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what?
It's like Secret Hitler?
Yeah, I think that's another name for it.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. That's awesome.
So, but I would like play songs in between, or like when they were voting, I would play songs, and we do all kinds of stuff like that on Fridays.
Wow, that's really cool.
Fun.
And that way it's not just like a regular, I'm just playing music for you guys. It's like we're also doing something that's also fun for me.
Yeah.
That's, you know, not that music isn't fun, but it's like something different so that it keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I think that's partly why we started this podcast, because, I mean, as much as we want to sit here and play music for everybody all day long, I think it's important to, it's something I'm noticing in a lot of people who are streaming, like it's shifting into something a little bit more personal, and it's something more. Like the music is great, but we need something more. Like what's that extra thing that that is going to get people more interested in what you're doing, including yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
well, and
fantastic.
also, you know, the people that start following you for your music, they also want to know more about you.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that is a fun way to kind of get them engaged with you as a person, you know, and you know, aside from what else you do creatively. So
Yeah.
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 awesome. Well, that's all that we had. Where can people find you online?
Oh, all kinds of places. But auburnmusic.com has pretty much links to everything else you can find me on. Patreon is an awesome website that I've been on for a few years, and really helps. So anytime I like write a new song, I'll post the lyrics and the work tape there first for people, typically, and yeah. So it's a pretty cool site.
Awesome.
Yeah, Patreon's great.
We'll put Aubryn's links in the chat for people, and we'll also put them in the show notes so that you can see for yourself why Aubryn is amazing, because she is. Aubryn, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're super, super busy today.
I know.
So we really appreciate you hopping in and saying hello. And we want to wish you continued success with the online music festivals and your streaming career, your music career, everything. Please do keep in touch.
Oh, duh. I mean, Ashley is dating my dad, so I don't think I really have a choice in the matter.
That's true.
Ha!
Yeah.
See? This was my master plan all along.
It's a good plan. Good plan. You know, honestly, I think your relationship with my dad has really helped me, because you guys are also so just awesome people in general, and so knowledgeable that we definitely help each other.
Oh yeah,
So I've loved
the only
Mutually
reason
beneficial.
that this whole thing is working right now is because you told me about Loopback.
Yeah, Auburn's helped us a lot with.
That's the only reason this is all
streaming.
working.
It's great, and you're
Yeah.
welcome.
It's one of the things that I'm really trying to shed light on myself, and I know you've been doing it for a long time, especially during the pandemic, is musicians helping other musicians. I think there's a lot of musicians are afraid of this competition thing, which I just would love to eliminate that word from all of our vocabulary, because music is not a competition. And
Absolutely not.
we're all doing stuff, and we can all share, and we can all learn from each other. So the more that we're doing that, the more that I think we're going to see each other grow. We've grown because of you, Aubryn, and I'm glad to hear that you're learning some stuff from us too, and I hope that continues. So I know it will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way it won't.
All right. Well, we will say goodbye now. We'll let you get back to work. And we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And we'll hopefully talk
Love
to you
you
again
guys.
soon.
Love you too.
Love you.
Thanks to Trevor too for stepping
Yes,
in.
thank you.
Seriously,
Trevor.
thank you,
Yeah.
Trevor, for helping.
All right. Bye.
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 So after this podcast is over, for those of you who are watching live, feel free to pop into facebook.com/online music festivals. Festivals or festival?
You did online music festival, I think.
Festival, yeah, it's singular. And you can watch some really amazing artists throughout the day, including some of Aubryn as well.
Woohoo!
That was really fun having Aubryn on the show.
Yeah, that was super fun. It's really nice to chat with her and get her perspective on, because like I said, she was one of the first that really kind of jumped on organizing something when everything went to heck, and it was really nice to see. And I think, and yeah, it is kind of encouraging because people are starting to share these ideas and organize these kind of ad hoc concert networks. Venues are doing it too. Like there are venues that are organizing kind of their own online concerts and things and stuff like that. I noticed even our insurance company, Music Pro Insurance, they're kind of doing it too. They're hosting, like they're kind of picking them themselves, but they're hosting musicians as well.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of interesting to see everybody do that. So I'm really glad that we had somebody like Aubryn to kind of lead the charge.
She's very knowledgeable. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, someone knowledgeable and tech savvy.
Yep.
And who can put it together relatively quickly.
Yep.
And she's had experience doing live streaming for years, so.
Yeah. She's got such a great voice too.
Yeah.
We should, speaking of music, we should move on to our request segment.
Aha.
We did fill both of our request slots for today. So we are going to go live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch with a little mini concert this Thursday at 5:00 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys have any other requests and you want to tune in on Thursday, or if you want to see it performed next week during our podcast, please feel free to throw a request out and we will try to honor it. But this first song we're going to do came from a request by actually quite a few of you, and have been requesting us to do this song for many, many weeks, and we keep threatening to learn it and then have not. But we finally did, except for it's a little bit different because it's a song that Ed sings on our album, The Anchor. The song is called Isadora, except for I'm going to sing it. Ed and I wrote this one together back in Nashville.
Yes. Yeah, this is an old one.
Yep. And we did. I think this was the second song we ever wrote together.
It might have been. It might have been one of the it might have been one of those earlier songs. I can't exactly remember, but
I think it was. We did "Sunny Side Up" was our first song we wrote together, and then I think we wrote "Isadora."
Yeah, and then I think I did have kind of a something in mind for it already on the guitar, and then when we did it for The Anchor, we kind of wove the theme in of The Anchor. We tried to do that with each song that we recorded, and so I remembered that right before we started rehearsing it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you know what I didn't do? I didn't run through how the bridge goes, and I said I was going to do. I knew I was forgetting something, so this could be interesting. I'm just going to make it up. The bridge is going to be a completely new melody to you, but it's inspired by my niece, who might be watching right now. So hi, Isadora, if you are watching. And she was born maybe a couple of years before we wrote this, and I've always loved the name Isadora. And so we wrote it as if it were a young suitor, expressing his love for Isadora. But now that I'm singing it, it's going to take on a whole new meaning. But we loved her name so much, and we thought she was a really great character to put in our song. So, Isadora, this is for you. Indulge me if you can to read this little letter to help you understand. If my heart were in my mind, I think before you break it, I could lay it on the line, or you could just take it. Got this pen and paper, it seems I've lost my voice. Thoughts of you fill spaces where once there was a void. Your eyes are like the ocean, your hair a subtle breeze. Your soul shines like a lighthouse when I'm lost at sea. If my heart were in my mind, before you break it, I could lay it on the line, or you could just just take it. 1,000 years I'd wait for you if you would just tell me to. I have waited long before. I adore Isadora. If my heart were in my mind, I think before you break it, I could lay it on the line, or you could just take it. Sincerely, Isadora, if you made it to the end, I'd love to be your auntie, but I'd like to be your friend.
Very well done.
Thank you. We should re-record that one and I'll sing it. You know, I want to do that with a lot of our songs. It's actually something I've thought about. I think we talked about it once before too,
Yeah.
doing like a song swap thing where you sing some of the stuff I do and I sing some of the stuff you normally do.
I think we have talked about that. For sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we decided I was going to sing it instead of Ed because, quite frankly, Ed doesn't like singing it for some reason.
Yeah.
Which
Not
is
really.
okay.
Not anymore.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I really like that song though. But I get it. I mean, I think part of it, I feel that way about some songs, especially a lot of the country songs I wrote in Nashville. I just don't like singing them anymore because I don't know why. It's not that it's just different. It's not that I'm not writing and singing country songs anymore. I am. I just I think
Yeah.
it's just like you move on from a song and then you're just done with it sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often.
No, it's a good way of putting it. You just kind of move on from it. And, you know, I mean, the song's still there. It's still a song, but sometimes you just kind of either grow a little detached from it or maybe it doesn't mean what it used to, you know, because you change. Even if the song doesn't really change, you do over time. So that's kind of how we look at it.
I heard Sarah McLachlan say the same thing at her concert. I went to
Oh,
her
really?
concert like February, just before the everything got shut down, and she was saying she on stage. She said, "You know, I'm getting a lot of requests for a lot of stuff on my very first album, and I love you guys. I'm just not going to do it. It's not that I don't like the music anymore. I'm not there anymore." And she moved on.
Yeah.
It happens.
It happens.
So this next request came from Chris and Joe in the UK. They requested this song earlier in the show, and I happened to catch it, and I'm glad I did. So I know it's a lot of your favorites as well, so I think some of you would be happy for this song. This is called The Anchor. There's an anchor at the bottom of the ocean, staring up at the roof of the sea, at the ship casting shadows on its garden, bottles and ropes and weeds, and the anchor is covered in coral, 'cause she's been waiting there for way too long, for the ship to pull up on her heartstrings, to the sun where she belongs.
How long will she wait for the wet?
Buckle her knees.
How long can she hold her
For
breath?
they all think
She can
she's
wait,
dead.
she can hold on to, but she won't beneath the ship is you.
And the anchor is me. And the ship has forgotten the anchor. And now his sailors cast her over the side. And now as he sails for the harbor, he slowly drags her behind.
How long will she wait for the wake? How long can she hold her breath?
For they all think she's dead. She can hold on to.
You won't believe the ship is you.
And the anchor is me. There's a snail at the bottom of the ocean. He's been chewing on strings in the weeds. He found the last one like a rubber band gun and set the anchor free.
How long will she wait for the wake?
Buckle her knees.
How long can she hold her breath?
For they all think she's dead. She holds on to.
And now she knows the snail is you.
And the anchor is free. Nice.
Thank you for the requests. Yeah, we'll get to more of them on Thursday, so tune in there. Send us a message if you've got one you want us to do then. But
A frequency song swap, says Alice to Ed. You want to? Yeah, I would love to hear you do that song.
well, we definitely have to change the key for that.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, we changed the key for Isadora.
True. True enough. All right.
Well, thank you guys so much for all the kind compliments too. That's really, really
Yeah,
nice.
it's very nice.
Yay! It's tips and tricks time.
Woo!
I prepared something really special for this, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, this is gonna be cool. If you've kept an eye on Ash's pages for Vagabond Voice and the like, and some of the stuff that we've done in Witherwood, you've noticed that
Songs from a Quarantine stuff.
Songs from Quarantine. You've noticed that we've kept doing videos and editing stuff, and Ashley has been editing them all, and they're really super well done. And I think I'd asked her one day. I knew the answer to this question, but I still ask it. I asked, "How did you do that?" And it's like she's like, "On my phone." I'm like, "What?" Like, if I had to do this on my phone, I would throw my phone out the window. That's how I just can't do it.
It helps having little tiny fingers. Look
That's
at this.
true.
They just hit all the keys.
Yeah, my fingers are definitely not built for phone video editing. I don't think my brain is built for it either. So
I'm terrible with computers, though. I can't make sense of it.
Which is why this is great, because now we've got technology up to the point where you can actually do this kind of stuff on a phone. And so, what have you prepared for everybody today, Ashley?
Well, and I don't even know if this exists on for a laptop. I don't know if there's like a web editor for this application, but my trick behind all these funky videos that I am making is an app that I stumbled upon called Photodirector. I absolutely love this app. It definitely took me some working with it, like a lot of user error. Everything that I've learned how to do on Photodirector is just from doing it. I mean, I would watch some tutorials, but mostly I would just try out different things. Like I didn't even know what most of the keys meant when I was in there, and I was like, well, what's this? How can you do that with that? And I just kind of figured it out through time. My first video I made was very basic, and they just started getting more complicated from there. I absolutely love it. I think it's very user friendly. So if you are interested in making videos, this is a really great place to start, especially for beginners like me who can make advanced looking videos with this app. It's just, I mean, I think it's $30 for the year or something like that, which is not that bad for, I don't typically love paying for apps because there are so many great ones that you can get for free, but sometimes I think it's worth it. And this one I definitely recommend if you're a musician and you want to make some cool music videos or just whatever. I mean, a lot of people are just making videos for birthdays and things like that during the pandemic, and this is a really great app to use. You can do all kinds of cool things, like I have a music video called Becoming. If you go to my YouTube page, and that music video has me and a mirror, and I figured out how to get my face so it appears in the mirror in real time. I actually like kind of moved that around. That's not a camera trick. That is 100% angle, which took a lot of record, do it, check it, come back, adjust. Like I probably spent an hour doing that until I got the right angle. And
That's
finally
awesome.
I got it. And then I did it again with a different wig on, so I looked like a different person, and I could make that so then I was able to go into the editing app and take the image in the mirror. Since it was a circle, there is a mask key, which I will get into in the tutorial. And I was able to put the second image of myself in the mirror and then have it come in and out as I pleased. And I mean, it took a lot of work, but it was fairly user-friendly and easy to do. Another good example is the Songs from a Quarantine music video that we did. Actually, a couple of them, I used that key for. The one that we played in last week's episode of Razor, I took 3 videos and I put them in there through the same kind of process. And then Parallel Universe was a beast to edit. I can't remember what, I think I spent a solid 12 hours editing that, like all day. Like I woke up, I started working on it. I mean, I was in quarantine, so whatever. And then I would like eat and then get back at it. It took forever because there's a lot involved in that video. I think we had 13 guest musicians show up in that video.
Yeah.
But I had little bubbles appearing and people's names and different sound effects. You could do all of that in the app. You could even edit the sound, which, it's a whole nother thing. But you can really go down the rabbit hole of this app. There's a lot that you can do with it. So the tutorial that I prepared for you, I'm only going to show you 2 things. So I think Ed's going to play it in a minute. The first thing that I'm going to show you is how to work with a green screen, which is this guy behind me has come in handy a lot. I just have it kind of set up here permanently. That's why it doesn't actually do anything in our live feed. But in the videos, this is what I use. I record right from here when I do that stuff. So it's how to use the app to work in front of a green screen and eliminate the green screen and put something cool in there instead. The other thing I'm going to show you is that masking tool, which is what I used for the Becoming video and Razor and Parallel Universe. But mostly the Becoming video is the best example of that. So Ed, with that said, I think you can roll it.
All right, here we go.
Hi everyone, welcome to your Photodirector tutorial. Now, there is so much that I could show you with this app, but we're just going to pick a couple of things today, and I'll let you kind of play around with the rest. So we go ahead and pull it up here, Photodirector. We want to start a new project. Let's give it a name. You don't have to give it a name, but it does help you stay organized. I'm going to start with showing you how to edit a green screen. You want to go ahead and pick the background layer first. So let's do that. I took this little video here from Michelle Pennington's beautiful piece of art called Nothing But Steam. And there's the video on the top left, so I click on it, and you can see there's a little play button that allows you to preview it. So if you click on the play, it's just to kind of see that, make sure that's the right video. That's the right video. Yep, that's the one we want. So let's go back and you click on the plus. Now, if you just kind of double tap, it puts it in the first box down in the bottom there. But if you want to be more choosy about where it goes, you can hold and drag down right there. To add another layer, which we're going to get to right now, click on the stackable squares, and that's going to allow you to add another layer. And now you see all of your options on the right-hand side. And we know it's a video, so go to the very top and click on that video. I know the video that I want to layer it with the green screen is also in my camera. So let's click on that and just make sure this is the right one.
Hi everybody! Welcome to the Photodirector tutorial.
Okay, that's it. You can also just kind of click on it and it should go right there, which it did. And let's scroll through, make sure there's enough room on the top. I think I recorded enough film. No, I didn't. So I can actually duplicate this so it's longer. So duplicate. So we're back on the main screen. I want to make this overlay video, I want to make it the same size as the other one, right? But in fact, I want to make it a little bit bigger because my green screen isn't exactly covering the whole thing there, which I should have done when I was filming, but I did not. Okay, so now that looks pretty good. And I want to go into the edit button, which is in the bottom left. And this is how I'm going to get rid of the background and make it so the background is the painting. Click on edit. And now this whole slew of options at the bottom showed up. Volume, so when you add in your music, you can control that, or if you have actual music already that you recorded in when you did the video, that you can control it there too. There's a filter option, adjustment, opacity, on fade, as in like it kind of fades in and out. Blending and mask we're going to get to in a little bit, but the main thing that I want here, lots of effects, flip, duplicate, which we've already been to. Let's click on chroma key. Okay, so now this is where we're going to get rid of that green screen and make it the painting itself. So what you want to do is click on the actual little key itself, Bink, and now see how it kind of appeared on my face. Well, we don't want to get rid of my face, we want to get rid of the green screen, so let's drag it over there, and automatically it just gives you all those checkers in the background, which is so cool. But it's not completely covered yet, so what you can do is you can drag it up, and you see how it's kind of filling it in. And then on the bottom one, I can even get rid of more. Look at all that. Gone, gone, gone. I love it. Okay, so now we're good to go. Back into the main screen, and let's see how this looks.
Hi everybody! Welcome to the Photodirector tutorial.
Fantastic. Just play around with it. Fiddle with those chroma key buttons until it has a look that you want. You can also kind of put effects on the background, so it's I see all these options here. Like, let's say I wanted to make the background black and white. Portrait. There we go. There we go. You can also put effects. If you click back on the other little screen, I can put a filter on myself. Let's go back into portrait because I can give myself a nice little glow like that. Probably too much, but
crimes against
you get the idea. So that is the chroma key. So now I'm going to show you how to use the mask key. So we're still in our project here. And if I kind of scroll along through this video, I know I included this little guy right here. So this is what I want to show you. Let's go back into the stacks so we can add another element to this. Let's go back into the video. I'm going to put my face in that little coaster. Okay, here's a little me. We can put that in there. So now what we do is...
Hi, everybody!
I'm just going to turn all of it down since we're doing this here. Okay, so let's go back to see where I put that in, which I know is back here somewhere. There it is. So what I want to do is click it and drag it so it sits right on top of that coaster-ish right there. Click on that edit button and go with mask. Okay, so here's your options, right? You can do linear, parallel, ellipse, or rectangle. So we know we want a circle-ish kind of thing. So let's make it about as small as fits on top of this coaster as we can. Bink. And see how perfect that is? We don't want it to look perfect either. So you can kind of feather it. And look how easy that is. I mean, that was it. It looks so complicated what I did and these music videos that I've been making, but really it's not that complicated at all. And look, I hit play. Done. That is how simple it is to put yourself inside of the mask key. You can also click on blending. This gives you other options. That is how to work with a green screen and how to work with your masking and blending tool. Pretty simple stuff. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And I hope that this was just a basic introduction for you. And I'm excited to see you guys play around with it because really, like, it just makes editing so much easier. So have fun.
All right. So that was a really impressive tutorial on admittedly a really impressive program like that. I was, we were chatting and I'm just like, I was trying to compare it in my head to iMovie for iOS, and it doesn't even come, iMovie doesn't even come close to this, honestly.
It is impressive, and they just released a new feature too where they partnered up with Shutterstock, so they have a lot of visuals in there, so which makes it way better even for the green screen because there's just so much that you can do with it. It's pretty unbelievable, and those are just, again, a couple of things. I mean, I could do a whole nother tutorial on PowerDirector in another episode and talk about something completely different.
That's really cool. Yeah, you may have to do that because I think there's going to be a lot more that people are going to want to learn from this. Just because of how robust it is. And, to be fair, a lot of computer style, what we would call non-linear editors like this, a lot of the ones made for computers can be pretty intimidating. Like I've tried using Adobe Premiere. I've tried using DaVinci Resolve, and I mainly use Final Cut. Even though it does some really weird stuff, it's the easiest one I've been able to use. But having the interface kind of maybe in this phone format, I think would probably help a lot of people. Without all the menus, and you can hide the icons away. Like, it's just getting stuff off the screen, I think, is is the barrier that you need to remove for people.
Totally agree. And I think a lot of people run into the same issue, but I don't have any storage space left on my computer.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know where to put you have to save. I guess, I have an external drive coming thanks to Ed, but to save stuff to your computer and then upload it is such a pain when I can do all of this right from my phone. In fact, I have an S10, the Galaxy Note, and there's a pro setting for video on it that takes fantastic video, and I think a lot of your phones take fantastic video as it is, so it's actually pretty great because I just take the video and then I bank import it. And there's plenty of storage on my phone these days. You know, we have great storage on phones these days. So I just throw it right into the app from there, and then it's all right there. I don't have to do all this like importing, exporting. It's there. It's done. It's easy. So that's what I like about it, I think. And that's probably why I've learned to use my phone over my computer, because I don't like importing and exporting.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, needs must, right? So
exactly.
When you, I'm gonna throw that link in here to the that's PowerDirector for Android. I'm curious if they have an iOS version.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would guess so.
Looks like it. Yeah.
They'd also just released a new app called Photodirector, which I just was working with. And by the way, there is a free version of PowerDirector. I just found that the getting the advanced version was really worth it. But you can play around with the free version. You're just limited to how many squares you can use. Like how many you saw. I kept dropping stuff in those lines, which was what in the tutorial, which was adding more and more in there, but more videos.
Yeah.
And so if you want to work with multiple videos, you really do need to get the advanced, but you can do the free one if you've only got, I think, 2 or 3 videos that you want to work with.
Cool.
And that includes your backdrops, by the way. So Photodirector they just released, and it's very similar to PowerDirector except for it's for stills. And I just worked with it for the first time yesterday on a single cover that I just talked about earlier, where I was released a new song with Ali Hu and Rob Chadwell. So I played around with that, and you can do some cool stuff with Photodirector. It felt very similar to PowerDirector, like I said, but for stills. I used the free version, and I found that to be just fine.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe if I start doing more complicated stuff, but I mean, there was definitely some features that looked really cool that I couldn't access, but I could do everything I wanted to do with the free version.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Wow. I mean, this is where we're at now, that apps and on the phones are getting so advanced that, some people may not even need computers to do their work. I know some people use iPads for that purpose. They get iPads as much as they can, they get as much as they can get done on their iPads because they don't like hauling a computer around. So
yeah, and I mean, that's what phones are basically anymore. It's just a mini computer, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
They're not any cheaper.
I mean, just in fact, Apple basically made the announcement recently that they are changing over their entire Mac line of computer processors to essentially their Apple's own processors based on the designs that they've been using in iPhones for years. They're going to make those the computer style processors now.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, yeah, there's
they're
probably
merging.
Yeah.
They're becoming the same.
Yeah, like realistically, yeah. Like you could get an iPad app, and you can already do this. You can get like an iPad app and then make it so it can run on your Mac. And now that's going to be even more
wow.
Of a thing. So think about if somebody got used to PowerDirector on their phone, and if they get one of these new Macs, they're like, oh, well, I can just put it on my computer and use it now. Might be kind of interesting.
That is cool. I would like that. That is one thing I wish I had a bigger screen. I mean, most of us end up just watching our music videos and whatnot on our phones anyway. So I don't mind the visual, like watching it, but just being able to have a bigger screen. I feel like I'm straining my eyes, and it's probably not that's so good for your eyes to be working with such a tiny screen.
Yeah. But that's all right. Yeah. I think, and I think they do there are some, like you can get bigger displays, I think, for Android phones that you can I think Wi-Fi cast over to or USB over to or something nowadays.
Oh, okay.
I think. So I think they realize that like more people are doing that people are doing more work on their phones, so they're like, oh, I need a bigger screen that I can directly connect to my phone. So
that's cool. Yeah, or you can get it on your tablet if you want to do that. So it's one of the reasons I was considering getting a a new tablet so I could work with mostly PowerDirector on it and a bigger screen, honestly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
That totally makes sense.
Because I use it so much these days. So.
All right. So next we're going to do one of our videos for you today. And a trip back to that 2018 tour. We're going to show you the Songs from a Subaru video we did for Ludwigsburg. That was a cool stop because we went to the Palace, which was awesome. That place was so cool. That tour guide was really cool too.
That was really cool.
And we played a DeLuca, which was really neat. And so, yeah, we're going to feature that right now.
These are the adventures of an American indie folk duo on tour in Europe.
We've partnered with Subaru Europe and are documenting our journey through every city on tour, plus an original song right from our Outback.
Life on the road can be tough, but so rewarding. From the amazing people we meet to the beautiful towns we explore.
We've already been through England, Scotland, and Wales. Next, we'll make our way through Germany and the Netherlands.
This is Ashley, lead singer, songwriter, acoustic guitar player, yogi, booking agent, band manager, and social media director.
And Ed, lead singer, songwriter, electric guitar player, driver, accountant, web designer, and all-around nice guy.
This is our journey.
This is Confidence in Motion.
This is Songs from a Subaru.
It was only a kiss, one kiss, the death of me. It was only a dream, one dream. Of all the pretty things, it was only sex, just sex, that turned into addiction, into friction, into fiction, into the obsession. You counted all the stars, connected all my freckles, collected broken hearts just to play your game of checkers. I wore your scarlet letter, you only wore me down. I'm not angry, I went crazy, and then I had the love that I found. It was only a clue, one clue, your favorite game. It was only a night, one night, we played to go insane. It was an easy alibi to pin it on the butler with a revolver in the kitchen to end all my suspicion. You counted all the stars, connected all my freckles, collected broken hearts just to play your game of checkers. I wore your scarlet letter, you only wore me down. I am not angry, I went crazy in the mad love that I found. Tearing up wallpaper, I'm pinching on my skin, I'm talking to the mirror, this reality I'm not in. You counted all the stars, connected all my freckles, collected broken hearts just to play your game of checkers. I wore your scarlet letter, you only wore me down. I am not angry, I went crazy, and then I had love that I found. This mad love, this mad love that I found. This mad love, this mad love that I found.
I'm so sorry. So not incorrect. Okay. Ruku prava you parod, apatomio nazad, apatomio nazad, ininushki patrizona, lito to your boogie boogie, pavaracha gwenska ruki, ala doshki, hope I am potak. It's okay, so what is it really?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun, wasn't it?
Is that? Oh, that's the one where I sing the Russian hokey pokey on the end, huh?
Yeah, because the sound guy spoke Russian, right? I think he spoke Russian, and so he wanted to judge how good your Russian was.
Right. That's my best party trick. Although one time I did that for somebody, I can't remember where he was from, and this whole, I did it, I was at a bar and my friends wanted me to do it, so I did it, and this one guy was like, I'm not impressed. This doesn't impress me at all. Why would you even do that? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I think everyone else enjoyed it. Sorry, I offended you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really fun video. That was the end of our tour, though. I think that was our last video, in fact, wasn't it? It should have been.
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's because I was hugging the Subaru and kissing the Subaru goodbye.
Oh yeah, because we were going on a break, and then you wouldn't see it again until we took it back, like a week and a half later or something.
Yeah, yep. And that's when Brad and I were separated for like a month, and he came in at the very end of the tour for that very last show, which was featured in the video, and he and I and his friends and Ed, we all went to the Ludwigsburg Castle, like what Ed mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that was cool.
So that's what that footage was us walking around there, and then from the show, and it was it was just like kind of an emotional day, but also a really cool day at the same time. So
yeah,
for
sure. All right, question time. Drop your questions.
Time.
I know Alice has a couple. So Alice says, Ed, how does this compare to Hit Film Express, which I have been using, with this being Photodirector? It's fairly similar, I would say, in function. I think it's got a couple of things that will make some things easier. I know a little bit about Hit Film Express. You should probably just grab it and on your phone, because I think you've got a phone similar enough to what Ash has now. I'd just grab it and give it a try, see what you think. Because I think there are some functions you would probably be able to do similarly. Again, it's a non-linear editor, much like Hit Film Express. So you can add in, you can cut up pieces, move them around, add in more pieces, more tracks that you can then basically mix down and combine into a new video. So my advice would be just to try it if you think maybe it'll be good. Yeah, so you have, I think, pretty much the exact same phone that Ashley has. So, yeah, just give it a try. See what you think. Because it's mostly going to be a question of can you work on a phone interface as opposed to a computer interface. I think that's going to be the main thing. The feature set will probably be a little different, but yeah, just give it a try.
And honestly, it kind of comes down to also what works best for you. So I think that goes with anything, right? So, I mean, obviously, Ed and I were talking earlier about how the phone really works for me, and I really like using apps on my phone to edit anything, and Ed prefers the computer. But I mean, that really is going to depend on the person. So I know I'm really talking up Director, but that doesn't mean that you're going to take to it or love it like I do. So if you find a different program and you like it, just stick with it. In fact, that's a piece of advice I got from Ed a while back.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like, you've said it to me a few times, but the time in particular was when I was talking to you if I should move to an iPhone. And you were like, well, you already know the Android and you like it. So, I mean, is there like, unless there's a real reason to switch, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Because if you, once you find what works for you, I think sticking with that is important. Why? Because consistency is key.
Thank you, Aubryn. Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's so many people get worked up about what you use sometimes, and they fail to see that just because they are using it or just because it's a quote unquote industry standard doesn't mean it works for everybody. Whether it's a Mac or a PC, Pro Tools or Logic, Windows or Mac OS, it doesn't, iPhone or Android, like who cares? If you understand one system better than another, then that's what you use, it shouldn't, and it also shouldn't keep you from trying new things too. So if there's some new thing that comes out that you're like, oh, that's interesting, maybe I should give it a try, and give it a try. And if you like it, then you found something new. Don't get set in your ways on software, because there's always going to be another new piece of software that comes out that'll probably have something you want to do or make your life more convenient. That's just how it is. So if you get stuck in something, then that's fine. It's comfortable for you. Don't let anybody else, rag on you because you're using a video editor on a phone. Like, who cares? That's what you're using, and that's what you like. It gets the job done.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love Zoom right now. That seems to be the popular platform. I prefer Skype, but a lot of people prefer Zoom. So there's that too. Stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Let's see. Another one from Alice. Can you output the video to a monitor? I think so. I have seen external monitors for I think Android phones, tablets. That's something I would have to research, but I think I've seen that. I don't know how well it works or how good the video is, but a lot of the newer phones have an output that can kind of do like multi-output stuff. And Android's a lot more flexible on that, I think, than iOS is. So if you get the right adapter, I think you could actually output the screen to a monitor and make it bigger. So
another question I saw from earlier in our chat was from Chris Demir that we didn't answer. Sorry, I'm still not saying it right. But he was asking what if we have ever considered doing a duet for something like, I think you're specifically referring to Isadora, but pretty much anything. And yeah, actually, Ed and I have done this kind of thing before where we change what we're singing on stuff. As we get older, our voices are changing, and that means that our range changes one way or another. We did it. The example I can think of in particular is Clockwork Heart. When we play Clockwork Heart out live, Ed used to sing that in his falsetto the whole way through. And as he is getting older, his voice is becoming lower, and he's finally going through puberty, and his voice is dropping.
My voice still breaks too. So
yeah, well, mine does too. That's a whole nother issue, but. We re-sang it a little bit differently. So we switched parts. So now I sing the higher part and then he sings the lower part. And that seems to work out pretty well. So is it something we could do for Frequency or for Isadora? Yeah, I don't think lyrically that would work so well because it feels very much like one person is singing to another person on that song. But I think if I re-sing it, I would like to hear Ed sing some harmony on it. I was thinking that while I was singing it, actually. I was like, it would be nice if he did some harmony here, here, and here, and here. So, logging that.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, if you guys are out of questions, I think we can
Wrap it up here with
wrap
a
things
song.
up. Hopefully, we're gonna get a song from Aubryn too to wrap up our not live, but when we put this on as audio, hopefully we'll have a song from Aubryn for you guys. But we decided that we are going to end with the Subaru song since we told you the Subaru story. We figured that was appropriate. Basically, when Subaru did give us the sponsorship, we decided, or I guess I decided, and we were in Las Vegas and staying at our friend Michelle's house, and I was just kind of hanging out in my room, and I wrote
That
this.
was at Michelle's house. I forgot.
Yeah, and we were leaving soon-ish, or I think we'd just gotten the sponsorship, or they said, yeah, we want to give it to you. Let's work out some details. So I was like, oh, I need to write a song with Subaru in it. So when we go on this tour, we can kind of like have a song to tour with and possibly give it to Subaru to take and run with it or something, which they didn't, which is fine. But we put it on our album regardless, and it's called Vagabond Road. Oh, he's got the bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it steady, make it fast, make this steed so it's gonna last. Take me places I've never been, only in my imagination. All the highway angels wave, they pass me by on parade. I saw them in Montana skies, in Vegas where they gotta die. I've bled on strings and over you've been sanctioned in a Subaru. All I know is the vagabond road. When she calls me, I'm coming home. Can't stay away from the open road. I've conquered mountains, now I want the ocean. I want confidence in motion. All the highway angels wave, they pass me by on parade. I saw them in Montana skies, in Vegas where they gotta die. I've bled on strings and over you've been sanctioned in a Subaru. I don't have much, but this is true. All I know is the vagabond road.
the vagabond road.
It's nice to close out a podcast on, I think.
Yeah. Time to
done.
hit the road.
Time to hit the road. Yes. Well, thank you, everybody, again for hanging out. Thanks once again to Aubryn for a wonderful interview and a wonderful story. May that never happen to any of you on the road. Definitely check out her music at auburnmusic.com. Definitely check out the online music festivals that she's putting on. We'll put those links again in the show notes for you. You can check out the show notes at crimesagainstfolk.com. And these episodes, we're aiming to get them up by Tuesday. So you can search for this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean. I'm working on Google Play. There's some weird issue with it right now. But so if you have a podcast app there, you can sign up. You can subscribe to it there, and you'll get the updates as soon as they drop.
Yep, and we'll be putting the photos from the show and tell portion, as well as the tutorial from the tips and tricks section and the show notes as well. So I'll have those also up on Instagram and YouTube shortly. So stay tuned and follow us everywhere. Thank you so much for your support. We are having so much fun doing this. Hopefully you're having fun listening. And if you missed some of this show, then you'll be able to listen to the replay again this week.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See you next